So, sir, first of all, very warm welcome. So,
Yeah.
this is our fourth podcast,
Okay.
and this is with a doctor that is neurosurgeon.
Yeah.
It would be a honor. And sir, how you started your journey, how you get into this surgery thing, and
Okay. I wanted to do medicine, so I was basically very curious about understanding about how the brain works. And when we were in first MBBS, we were taught about physiology,
okay,
and where we got an introduction to the brain. Anatomy and physiology, ये दो subjects होते हैं first MBBS
yeah.
में. तो उसमें we get introduced to the brain, then how the different tracts and how the different areas which mediate emotions, consciousness, so that got me very interested. And पहले से मुझे तो मेडिसिन में ज़्यादा मतलब MD मेडिसिन जो इंटरनल मेडिसिन करते हैं, आई वांटेड टू डू अ सर्जिकल ब्रांच, दैट वाज वेरी श्योर, बिकॉज मुझे लगता है कि मेडिसिन में आमतौर पे you don't really treat, you don't cure a person, you just maybe tell the person how he can live, like diabetes or blood pressure, all these, उनमें तो आप वो मरीज को वो बीमारी के साथ कैसा शांति से जिंदगी काटना वो सिखाते हैं, उससे आप उसको क्योर नहीं करते. तो सर्जरी में ये होता है कि हमारे इसमें बात बोलते हैं ऐसे कि यू डोंट चूज द ब्रांच चूजेस यू. तो इसके ऐसा होता है कि आपकी पर्सनालिटी जिस किस्म की है, तो मुझे माई पर्सनालिटी वाज सच दैट आई कैन नेवर लिव विद अ प्रॉब्लम. आई कैन द प्रॉब्लम विल किल मी और आई विल किल द प्रॉब्लम. आई कांट लिव विद द प्रॉब्लम. तो सर्जरी में ऐसे होता है कि वो जो कुछ दिख रहा है, काम नहीं कर रहा, प्रॉब्लम है, काट के निकाल दो, फेंक दो, मरीज को ठीक करो. So that's the mindset I had. And then because of my interest in the brain and consciousness, while doing my general surgery, I was very sure that I'll take up neurosurgery.
Okay.
So that's how it's a long journey. MBBS 6 years, then MS general surgery 3 years, and then another 3.5 years for doing neurosurgery. So about 12 and a half, 13 years. 13 साल का पढ़ाई होता है. And the worst part is that after 13 years, you just got you get entry into the domain of neurosurgery, because 3 years is not enough to become a master or really be good at your work. So उसके बाद कम से कम 5-7 साल लगते हैं to become really good in what you're doing.
Experience.
You get the experience. So it's a 20-year time frame you're looking at before you can really do justice to the branch.
Okay. So if we start with the beginning, so what exactly is neuroscience, and what does it deals with?
Neuroscience or neurosurgery? What do you want to know?
Neuroscience and neurosurgery. How?
See, because neuroscience is a very broad spectrum. Neuroscience involves neurobiology, neurophysiology. It includes even the non-medical part of neurosciences. So neuroscience is a very big genre.
Okay.
Neurosurgery is a medical aspect of intervening and doing surgery on the brain and the spinal cord.
Particular.
So neurosurgery, when we train to become neurosurgeons, we are trained to exclusively do operations on the brain and the spinal cord. So that is the area which I specialize.
Okay.
So what was your question?
So this is what is neurosurgery, and what does it deals with, and I think it's...
So neurosurgery largely deals with where, like if you have to, there are patients who have brain tumors, there are head injury patients जिनको चोट लगती है दिमाग को, खून की गांठ होती है दिमाग के अंदर, फ्रैक्चर्स होते हैं दिमाग स्कल बोन के, स्पाइनल कॉर्ड ट्यूमर्स होते हैं. फिर देयर आर वैस्कुलर न्यूरोसर्जरी जहाँ पे एन्यूरिज्म्स, AVMs होते हैं, वो फट जाते हैं, फिर दिमाग में ब्लीडिंग हो सकता है, उसको सर्जरी करना. सो स्पाइनल कॉर्ड में भी बहुत सारे बीमारियाँ होती है, लाइक मेनिंगोसील्स होते हैं जो जन्म से ही स्पाइनल कॉर्ड में डिफेक्ट्स होते हैं, उनकी सर्जरी करना. डिस्केक्टमी मतलब यहाँ पर जो हम बोलते हैं ना, साइटिका, जो पेन होता है, नस दब जाते हैं, उनको रिलीफ करना. स्पाइनल कॉर्ड के ट्यूमर्स होते हैं, फाइनल कॉर्ड के फ्रैक्चर्स होते हैं, तो स्पाइनल कॉर्ड इंजरीज होते हैं. तो ये सब चीजें,
all these things are operated, or
all need not necessarily be operated, but we treat all these conditions. So if there's a patient who's got a spinal cord injury, he is treated by a neurosurgeon.
Fine.
Whether to operate or not, that's a secondary part. That decision is with me. But so that genre which deal that whole genre is called a neurotrauma. Trauma मतलब जहाँ पे accident हो, injuries हो.
Yeah.
So brain or spine के injuries, those are managed by neurosurgeons. Tumors are managed by neurosurgeons. So it's a very big domain.
Okay. So like ऐसा बोलते हैं कि brain in itself is a miracle.
Absolutely.
And so could you explain how it works, things and learn?
I wish I had the answer to your question because still a lot of there's exactly how it works and how the brain functions is not really known, very honestly.
Okay.
I'm actually presently doing my PhD also in a domain called as a. I'll try to explain it. You might have heard of MRI.
Yeah.
तो MRI में पहले ज़माने में ये होता था कि आप ब्रेन का स्ट्रक्चर कैसा होता है, मतलब ब्रेन में ट्यूमर है, कोई चोट लगी है तो कहाँ उसका एनाटॉमी समझना, वो MRI का काम था. अभी फंक्शनल MRI आ गया, मतलब दिमाग का कौन सा हिस्सा, विच पार्ट ऑफ द ब्रेन इज डूइंग दैट पर्टिकुलर जॉब, दैट कैन ऑल्सो बी फाउंड आउट ऑन द MRI. It's called as a functional MRI.
Okay.
So it is not just giving you information about the structure of the brain, but it is also giving you input about which, like अभी मैं बात कर रहा हूँ और मेरा अभी MRI किया तो मेरे दिमाग का कौन सा हिस्सा अभी मेरी बात करने के लिए काम कर रहा है वो मुझे दिख सकता है, उसको फंक्शनल MRI बोलते हैं. सो फंक्शन भी समझ जाता है उसमें. तो ये फंक्शनल MRI का जो टेक्नोलॉजी है उसमें एक काम होता है कि हाउ डू दे फाइंड दिस आउट, कि कैसे पता चलता है. तो उसमें एक ब्लड ऑक्सीजन लेवल डिपेंडेंट करके टेक्नोलॉजी है.
Okay.
जिसके अंदर मेरे ब्रेन का ब्रेन वर्क्स ऑन ऑक्सीजन, बट द पार्ट ऑफ द ब्रेन विच इज यूजिंग द मैक्सिमम अमाउंट ऑफ ऑक्सीजन इज गोइंग टू बी एक्टिव एट दैट टाइम. तो अभी मैं बात कर रहा हूँ तो मेरे दिमाग के कौन सा हिस्सा ज्यादा ऑक्सीजन कंज्यूम कर रहा है, वो हिस्सा अगर मैं देख सकूँ या उसको मैं मैप कर सकूँ तो फिर मुझे वो फंक्शनल MRI बोलते हैं.
Okay.
सो इट इज कॉल्ड एज ब्लड ऑक्सीजन लेवल डिपेंडेंट. तो माय थीसिस इज दैट अगर हम रेस्टिंग स्टेट, मतलब सिर्फ आप लेटे रहे हो MRI के कंसोल पे, आप कुछ काम नहीं कर रहे हो, सिर्फ लेटे रहे हो, तब भी आपका दिमाग तो काम कर रहा है, आप होश में हो और आपका यू आर फुल्ली कॉन्शियस. तो रेस्टिंग स्टेट में अगर मैंने फाइंड आउट किया कि दिमाग का कौन सा हिस्सा ज़्यादा ऑक्सीजन कंज्यूम कर रहा है,
Okay.
दैट विल गिव मी अ क्लू कि दैट पार्ट ऑफ द ब्रेन इज रिस्पॉन्सिबल फॉर मी टू बी कॉन्शियस.
Okay.
समझ रहे हो?
Yeah.
So that is a thesis topic of mine. So I have got a series of about 32 cases where I have analyzed the resting state MRI of patients and analyzing them using a very advanced computing. I get images to know which part of the brain is active when I'm conscious, when I'm just in a resting state. And shortly I'll be presenting my paper in Barcelona in one conference called The Science of Consciousness.
Okay.
Where there's going to be a very famous Deepak Chopra is going to be presenting his paper there. I mean, he's going to be a speaker there. There's
Okay.
Dr. Roger Penrose, who's a Nobel laureate. He's also going to be present over there. So it's an honor to be presenting my paper over there.
Okay. So sir, like brain सिर्फ न्यूरॉन्स और ब्लड वेसल से ही बना होता है या बहुत कुछ होता है उसके अंदर? एंड
Yeah. So
मतलब if you want to explain a new person like me,
okay.
so what exactly is?
See, brain is made up largely of two main, like you said. One is the neural tissue, nerve cells. There are about 100 billion neurons in the brain. 100 billion. मतलब for हिंदी में समझ जाने को जाए तो 1 billion is equivalent
100
to
crores.
10 crore.
100 crores.
100 crores.
Yeah.
1 billion.
Yeah.
So 100 crores into 100. मुझे
10,000.
10,000 10,000 करोड़ न्यूरॉन्स होते हैं. तो वो न्यूरॉन्स को उनमें खासियत ऐसी होती है कि देयर आर व्हाट वी कॉल एज न्यूरल पाथवे. सो ईच न्यूरॉन, उसको आपने अगर देखा कि एक पेड़ की जो शाखाएं होती है, लाइक द ट्री ब्रांचेस ऑफ अ ट्री, ईच न्यूरॉन हैज वन एक्सॉन एंड देयर आर ब्रांचेस एंड ईच ब्रांच कनेक्ट्स विद डिफरेंट न्यूरॉन्स. सो यू कैन इमेजिन 100 बिलियन न्यूरॉन्स. And they connect with each other in a vast network. So the number of any junction between two neurons is called as a synapse.
Yeah, we read in 10
Yeah.
class.
So the number of synapses are almost, you can say, more than the number of stars in this galaxy, in this whole universe, because it's huge. 100 billion neurons connecting with one another. So it's humongous. So those are the neurons, that's the main structure. Then there are what are called as, it's like आप अगर समझो कि ईंटें हैं, न्यूरॉन्स ईंटें हैं, तो उनको एक साथ जुड़ने के लिए आपको कोई एक इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर लगता है जिनमें वो आप काम कर सकते हैं. तो वो उसको ग्लायल सेल्स बोलते हैं. ग्लायल सेल, GLIAL. तो ग्लायल सेल्स इज व्हाट फॉर्म्स एज अ सपोर्टिंग मैट्रिक्स, या उसको जो फ्रेमवर्क है जिसमें न्यूरॉन्स काम करते हैं. सो दैट इज लार्जली फॉर्म्ड ऑफ फॉस्फोलिपिड्स. फॉस्फोलिपिड इज अ टाइप ऑफ मॉलिक्यूल which forms the basis of the brain. So a normal human brain would का वजन तकरीबन 2.2 to 2.5 pounds होता है. About 1.5 kilos maybe max. And every time I operate on the brain, first when I open the skull and I open the dura which is there, my first response is to उसको मैं मन ही मन में मैं प्रणाम करता हूँ, because I am trying to touch some organ about which no human being knows very much about. वो कैसे काम करता है, होश कहाँ पर होता है दिमाग के अंदर, जब आदमी बेहोश होता है तो वाकई में क्या क्या प्रॉब्लम हो रहा है, इसके बारे में बहुत कम जानकारी है. There's very very little known about it.
So there is another question. I think it's bit philosophical. Mostly बोला जाता है कि listen to your mind या listen to your brain और listen to your heart. हम सोचने के लिए तो ब्रेन ही काम होता है. Just want to know your perspective कि how both are different.
So in our neuroscience, neurosurgery, neurology, these are two branches which study which deal with the diseases and the problems of the brain and the spinal cord. In both these branches, mind is not recognized as a separate organ. There is no scope. Psychiatry is a branch of medicine that deals with the mind. Psychiatry. So when your question was, when we say that certain decisions are taken by the heart, certain decisions are taken by the brain, certain by the mind, तो ये चीज़ें जो है वो उसका separation करना from a neurosurgical perspective, from a neurological perspective बहुत मुश्किल है, because there is no entity only which is recognized as a mind. तो न्यूरोसर्जन या न्यूरोलॉजिकल की अगर आपने बात की तो आई नो कि दिमाग के कौन से हिस्से में गुस्सा आता है, कौन से हिस्से में इमोशंस होते हैं, ये चीज़ें मालूम पड़ती है. तो ये माइंड का एक इम्पॉर्टेंट एस्पेक्ट है, इमोशंस होना, किसी ये होना, पर उसका एक्चुअल सब कोऑर्डिनेट करके अभी इसमें इतने लेयर्स है. जैसे हम कॉन्शियस बोलते हैं, हम मॉरलिटी बोलते हैं, वैल्यूज बोलते हैं. तो एक बात मैं आपको बोल सकता हूँ कि हमारे ह्यूमन ब्रेन की जो खासियत है उसको फ्रंटल लोब्स बोलते हैं. मतलब अगर आपने देखा कि बंदरों में ना ये आईब्रोज जो होते हैं ना, उसकी तुरंत बाद बालों की लाइन स्टार्ट हो जाती है. हमारे इसमें हमको फॉरहेड बोलते हैं, जो आगे वाला हिस्सा है, उसको फ्रंटल बॉसिंग बोलते हैं. तो ह्यूमन ब्रेन की खासियत ये है कि हमको फ्रंटल लोब्स है, which is an evolutionary upgrade from the monkeys or the apes. तो ये फ्रंटल लोब जो है ना, दे आर द सीट ऑफ इंटेलिजेंस, दे आर द सीट ऑफ एब्स्ट्रैक्शन. मतलब जैसे कि मैंने आपको बताया कि गरीबी, अगर मैंने बताया ये वर्ड, तो गरीबी ये आप छू नहीं सकते उसको, ये कॉन्सेप्ट है. तो ये कॉन्सेप्चुअल जो अंडरस्टैंडिंग है, एब्स्ट्रैक्शन जिसको बोल सकते हैं, लाइक आर्ट हो या फिर कोई पोएट्री हो जिसका हम एंजॉय कर सकते हैं, वो एब्स्ट्रैक्ट होता है ना, उसको आप हाथ नहीं लगा सकते वो. तो वो एब्स्ट्रैक्शन का जो सीट है, दैट इज द फ्रंटल लोब्स, द इंटेलिजेंस आल्सो. So that is one difference. So your question about the mind, we as neurosurgeons and neurologists, we don't have any definition or any structure which is defined as the mind.
Okay. So the next questions, जैसे बचपन में थोड़ा क्यूरियस होते हैं कि उसका IQ ज़्यादा है, मेरा IQ ज़्यादा है, वो जल्दी मैथ सॉल्व कर पा रहा है. So ये IQ, what is the concept of IQ and why this differ from person to person?
See, from the neurology perspective or the neurosurgery, there are two different things that one has to understand. One is the structure of the brain. Structure मतलब जो anatomy है उसका, और एक functionality है. तो ये आपने अगर गौर किया तो कोई भी दो ब्रेन्स जो है, किसी भी दो इंडिविजुअल्स के, वो एकदम एक जैसे होते हैं, उसमें कोई फर्क नहीं होता। यहाँ तक कि आइंस्टाइन का ब्रेन का भी जब उनका देहांत होने के बाद उसका एनालिसिस किया था तो उनमें भी कुछ ऐसा अलग कुछ दिखा नहीं ब्रेन के अंदर।
बट ऐसा कुछ बोलते हैं ना कि उनका ब्रेन नॉर्मल ह्यूमन से बड़ा था थोड़ा,
ना
ऐसा कुछ?
साइज वाइज
ओके।
तो आप अगर पूछ रहे हो कि स्ट्रक्चरली क्या फर्क होता है, तो स्ट्रक्चरली कोई फर्क नहीं रहता ब्रेन में। कोई भी, कोई अनपढ़ गवार आदमी हो जिसका आईक्यू एकदम मतलब अगर गिने तो 60 भी हो, और जो एकदम जीनियस का भी ब्रेन का आईक्यू जिसका 160 या 180 हो, उसमें स्ट्रक्चरली कोई फर्क नहीं नजर आता है। तो ये फंक्शनैलिटी है। तो अगर मैं आपको ये पूछूं कि एक आदमी अच्छा गा लेता है तो, और एक आदमी को गाने का कुछ ज्यादा सुर का कुछ ज्ञान नहीं होता है, तो हाउ डू यू एक्सप्लेन दैट? तो दिस इज एक्चुअली अ फंक्शनल एस्पेक्ट ऑफ द ब्रेन, जिसके लिए कोई एनाटॉमिकल चेंज कुछ नहीं रहता है ब्रेन के अंदर।
Actually, I read somewhere about there is something gray matter and all in the
ग्रे
brain.
मैटर एंड
Is
व्हाइट
it?
मैटर इज द डिफरेंशिएशन बिटवीन, बिकॉज मैंने जैसे आपको बताया कि ब्रेन में न्यूरॉन्स होते हैं, तो न्यूरॉन के जो एक नर्व न्यूरॉन में से निकलने वाला जो एक जिसको हम बोलते हैं जैसे आप वायर समझते हो, इलेक्ट्रिकल की वायर, तो न्यूरॉन में से एक लंबा जो एक्सॉन होता है वो दैट इज, सो द न्यूरॉन पर से द बॉडी ऑफ द न्यूरॉन इज द ग्रे मैटर।
ओके।
एंड वो जो उसका उसमें से जो फाइबर निकलता है विच इज द वायरिंग दैट कम्स आउट फ्रॉम दैट, उसको व्हाइट मैटर बोलते हैं। तो ये ग्रे एंड व्हाइट इज जस्ट अ ग्रॉस डिफरेंशिएशन दैट इज सीन इन द नेकेड ब्रेन, मतलब तो इट इज बट for functional part of it is that white matter are what are the fibers that connect the different parts of the brain, or the fibers which come out from individual neurons. Those are called as a white matter, and gray matter is actually the nerve tissue.
Okay. So like आपने एग्जांपल दी कि कोई अच्छा सिंग कर रहा है और कोई बिल्कुल ही बेसुरा गा रहा है, तो इट्स लाइक इफ समवन वांट्स तो प्रैक्टिस से हो सकता है। तो क्या आईक्यू भी ऐसे ही मतलब बढ़ाया जा सकता है? Some food, some exercise.
In my opinion, I don't think that thing can really be changed significantly. Okay. See, because you know, if you look at IQ, intelligence quotient, I'm a member of the Mensa. Have you heard of Mensa?
No.
Mensa is a Greek word for a round table. Okay. And what they do is that they conduct tests for it is for like every age. So when you give that exam, the IQ is defined as biological age upon the intellectual age for that. So it's a ratio. Okay. तो आपका बायोलॉजिकल एज जो है एंड आपके एज के आम लोगों का अगर एवरेज पकड़ा तो उसका रेशियो होता है वो। तो समझो कि आप 1/100, तो अगर आप इफ योर IQ is 100. Okay. It means that you have as much IQ as what a normal person of your age will have. Okay. That's 100. Because it will be 100 upon 100 into 100. That is 1. Yeah. So if I am talking about for Mensa, they take the top 2 percentile of that age group, get membership into this Mensa. It's a international organization of intelligent people. Okay. So, in my opinion, your question about whether you can do anything to improve your intelligence, it's hard to say that because you see, intelligence is something which is a multifactorial thing. One important aspect of that is genetics. Like to give you an example, if you see in my observation, I'm not being communal or caste, I'm not talking about races or castes or anything. Okay. But in my observation, I've seen that like the Tamil and Brahmin people, they are extremely good in mathematics. They are extremely good. So, but that is genetic in them. I have seen so many you see a lot of these people who I have come across, they are very, very good in mathematics. Yeah. So genetics plays a very important role in IQ. Very, very important role. Then it also depends on the environment in which you are. Your ability to focus on something. Okay. कुछ लोगों को कंसंट्रेशन बहुत हाई होता है, तो कंसंट्रेशन आप अगर कर सकोगे तो आपको चीज उतनी जल्दी समझ जाएगी। तो IQ इज अ कॉम्बिनेशन ऑफ मल्टीपल थिंग। इट ऑल्सो इज अबाउट योर एबिलिटी टू एडजस्ट, कि आपको अगर अभी समझो कि आपको 12th स्टैंडर्ड की एग्जाम पास करनी हो और उसके ऊपर आपका फ्यूचर डिपेंड है, तो वो 12th स्टैंडर्ड की एग्जाम में आपको किस तरह से पढ़ना चाहिए, किस किस्म की क्वेश्चंस आते हैं, तो इट्स अ टारगेटेड काइंड ऑफ अप्रोच. तो IQ is a combination of these multiple factors, and so but there is no specific center in the brain which can
Okay.
say that okay, this part is responsible for the IQ and this is the size of that part. ऐसा कुछ नहीं है.
Okay. So in our households, mothers often say कि बादाम खा ले या दूध पीना चाहिए. So इससे दिमाग तेज होता है, मार्क्स अच्छे आएंगे. So is it ट्रू, और मतलब इससे ब्रेन को कुछ इफेक्ट पड़ता है, कुछ एलिमेंट्स एंड मतलब जो हम नट्स खाते हैं कुछ हेल्थ
मैं आपको ऐसे कितने एग्जांपल दे दूं जिन लोगों को खाने 2 वक्त की रोटी नहीं थी खाने को, स्ट्रीट लाइट्स के नीचे पढ़ के जो आगे जाके IAS बने हैं, या फिर कोई जाके साइंटिस्ट बना है, कोई जाके बहुत बड़ी हस्ती बनी है. तो ये मतलब मैं ये नहीं कह रहा हूँ कि वो जो माँ है कहती है वो गलत है. उनके हिसाब से वो उनकी ममता होती है और उनकी ये इच्छा होती है कि न्यूट्रिशन अच्छा हो जाए बच्चे का. पर ये कोई क्वालिफाइंग क्राइटेरिया नहीं है कि बादाम खाने से दिमाग अच्छा होता है, ऐसे कोई नहीं.
मतलब कुछ मे बी उसमें कुछ प्रोटीन्स एंड कुछ ऐसा न्यूट्रिएंट्स रहते हों, ऐसा कुछ.
आई मीन it's certainly there. You see, if you look at it ना, आजकल ये न्यूट्रास्यूटिकल जिसको बोलते हैं, आप फार्मास्यूटिकल सुना है आपने? तो फार्मास्यूटिकल इज डीलिंग विद ड्रग्स. तो ये न्यूट्रास्यूटिकल करके एक नया पूरा लॉबी, बहुत $1 ट्रिलियन इकोनॉमी बन गया है. वो उसमें ये खाओ, क्रिएटिनिन खाओ, अमीनो एसिड खाओ, सप्लीमेंट्स. आप ये सोचो कि इन अ कंट्री लाइक आज इंडिया में, जहाँ पर देहातों में या जहाँ पर कितने ऐसे एग्जांपल्स हैं कि जिनको उससे कोई फर्क नहीं गिरा, या फिर हमारे बाप दादा जो थे जिनके वक्त में कुछ ऐसा नहीं था, वो क्या कम बुद्धिमान नहीं थे? उनको भी तो आई एम नॉट बीइंग skeptical, आई एम नॉट बीइंग critical also. I am only trying to be realistic. That if you're taking it, it's not harmful as long as you're not doing it in excess. But it's not that unless you do that you cannot be intelligent. ऐसा कुछ नहीं है.
ओके, ठीक.
बैलेंस डाइट हो, आप में जो विटामिन्स लगते हैं आपकी ग्रोथ के लिए, या वो उतना रूटीन जो हमारा खाना होता है वो सब उसमें आता है. तो आई डोंट सी द नीड फॉर टेकिंग एनीथिंग स्पेशल टू बिकम मोर इंटेलिजेंट. ऐसा कुछ है नहीं मेरे हिसाब से.
ओके, मतलब इट्स लाइक मतलब वो जैसे चलता आ रहा है वैसा.
बिल्कुल.
अब लॉजिकली कुछ ऐसा
नहीं. आई डोंट थिंक सो. बिकॉज देयर इज like you're yourself witness to it na. You must have read about so many cases of,
obviously,
I know so many, so many कितने के बेचारों को 2 वक्त की रोटी भी नहीं है नसीब की, और वो कहाँ से कहाँ पहुँचते हैं. तो ये ह्यूमन बॉडी जो है ना, ब्रेन की तो बात ही है, कुछ अलग है, लेकिन ह्यूमन बॉडी जो अपनी है और उसमें जो एक इट्स अ मिरेकल. I can only tell you that because ह्यूमन बॉडी का अगर आपने देखा जाए तो इतने पैरामीटर्स हैं, जैसे कि हमारा pH कितना है ब्लड का, हमारा ऑक्सीजन सैचुरेशन कितना है, कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड कितना है, सोडियम कितना होना चाहिए, पोटेशियम कितना होना चाहिए, इतने पैरामीटर्स हैं. और हम जिंदगी काट लेते हैं, उसका जो भी हमारे बॉडी का इंटेलिजेंस है वो ये सभी पैरामीटर्स को उतने बराबर वो नॉर्मल सी में रखता है. कैसे करता है, क्या करता है, इट्स एन इंटेलिजेंस विच बीट्स एवरीथिंग. जब हम कभी कभी पेशेंट को वेंटिलेटर पे डालते हैं तो उनको अगर सोडियम, बॉडी को पता चला कि सोडियम या फिर pH थोड़ा एसिडिक हो रहा है, तो किडनी तुरंत वो यूरिन का अल्कलिनिटी कम करता है टू रिटेन मेंटेन द एसिड बेस बैलेंस. तो बॉडी का इंटेलिजेंस बहुत ही ज़बरदस्त है वो, मतलब, और वो कैसे काम करता है, कहाँ से काम करता है, इसके बारे में वाकई कहना बहुत मुश्किल है. तो ये मैं इसलिए आपको बोल रहा हूँ कि द ब्रेन, तो व्हेन यू कम टू द ब्रेन इट इज़ सुपरलेटिव. यू कैनॉट जस्ट fathom how it works, how that consciousness comes into the brain, or whether consciousness is which part of the brain it starts, कहाँ पे होता है, होश में रहना, वो दिमाग के कौन से हिस्से का जिम्मा है, कुछ इसके बारे में बहुत ही. मैं स्पीकिंग ट्री जो कॉलम है टाइम्स ऑफ इंडिया का, इसमें मैं 2007 से आर्टिकल्स लिख रहा हूँ. मेरे अभी तक 150 आर्टिकल्स छपे उसमें. मेरा फर्स्ट आर्टिकल जो था, इट वॉज कॉल्ड सर्च फॉर अ सेंटर ऑफ कॉन्शियसनेस इन 2007. तब से मेरी ये बहुत बड़ी ख्वाहिश है कि कहीं ना कहीं मुझे इसका पता चले कि ब्रेन कॉन्शियसनेस जो है, होश में रहना, वो है क्या चीज़, वो दिमाग में कैसे, हाउ डज इट गेट जनरेटेड, और कौन सा हिस्सा. क्योंकि हम बहुत बार देखते हैं कि कोई मरीज को देखा, स्कैन किया, MRI किया, नॉर्मल है, पर मरीज बेहोश है, तो उसका क्या कनेक्शन है, क्या, ये समझना बहुत बहुत मुश्किल है. सब इट्स अ मिरेकल. एब्सोल्युटली, दैट्स ऑल आई कैन से.
So, sir, how do stress, sleep, and diet affects the brain? इस पे कुछ बता सकते हैं?
See, diet, I told you,
Yeah.
that there's really not much to choose from. As long as you're having a reasonably good, perhaps in the West they have found out that consumption of a large amount of red meat
Okay.
can cause significant atherosclerosis. Atherosclerosis is the arteries of the brain or the entire body, they get choked with fat on the inside. So it affects the blood circulation. So that's a very gross level. But in a day-to-day life, if you're having a balanced, reasonably good diet, I don't think diet has much of a role to play for the brain, as long as you're not, indulging in too much of alcohol or any extremes of anything. So diet per se, I don't have much to talk about. Sleep is very important because you see the brain. I'll tell you one very simple thing, that right now as we are sitting here, my brain is bombarded by data. मुझे ये दिख रहा है, मुझे मेरे कपड़े का जो पहने उसका टच हो रहा है पूरे बॉडी को, वो भी इनपुट जा रहा है. सब जा रहा है इनपुट. सुनना है, मैं देख रहा हूँ, आवाज आ रहे हैं, टच हो रहा है. ऑल द 5 सेंसेस आर कॉन्स्टेंटली वर्किंग. तो बहुत ज्यादा डेटा जाते रहता है ब्रेन में. आप एक बात सोचिए कि मेरे पूरे कपड़े का मुझे स्पर्श हो रहा है मेरे बदन को. ब्रेन को इतना पता चल रहा है कि इसको ज्यादा, ये जो इनपुट जा रहे हैं ना, इनको ज्यादा अहमियत मत देना, डोंट गिव इट टू मच इम्पोर्टेंस. पर अगर एक छोटी चींटी भी मेरे कहीं पर चढ़ी तो मुझे तुरंत पता चलता है कि बॉस वो उसको हटा दो. तो ब्रेन पे बहुत ज़्यादा डेटा का बम्बार्डिंग होते रहता है पूरे टाइम में. तो जब नींद में आप जाते हो, व्हेन यू टेक स्लीप, दैट इज ओनली टाइम द ब्रेन गेट्स रेस्ट, बिकॉज दैट टाइम देयर इज नो स्टिमुलेशन ऑफ द ब्रेन फ्रॉम द सेंस ऑर्गन्स.
Okay.
you're sleeping ना.
Yeah.
तो you're not seeing anything, आपको कुछ सुनाई नहीं देता है, आपको कुछ टच का, all the sense organs are quiet, so there's no input to the brain that time. So the brain needs to rest because it's constantly bombarded by data. हम सोचते रहते हैं, हमको डेटा आते रहता है दिमाग के अंदर constantly. तो वो जो सिलसिला है, what that is happening, वो when you're sleeping it gets rest. So that rest, sleep is very important for the brain to reorganize the data. जो भी डेटा unnecessary है वो weed out करना. It's kind of arranging the data in the brain. So it needs that rest. So sleep is important for the brain.
Sir, is there any particular time कि इतनी ही sleep चाहिए? Mostly people बोलते हैं कि 8 घंटे सोना चाहिए. एंड जैसे मैं 6 घंटे सोता हूँ, मेरे लिए इनफ रहता है वो. अगर मेरे को 1-2 नैप चाहिए तो वो ले लेता हूँ दिन में 20 मिनट्स के. एंड कई जैसे अभी कुछ जैसे हमारे पहले होते थे ऋषि मुनि, जो सुबह रात को 12-1 बजे सोते थे एंड सुबह 4 बजे बोलते ब्रह्म मुहूर्त में उठते थे. वो तो 3-4 घंटे की नींद ही लेते थे. एंड वो सारा दिन मतलब मेडिटेशन एंड ऑल सब कुछ ये करते थे. तो मतलब ये क्या कंसेप्ट है ये?
I'll tell you one thing. There is no what you might call it as a prescription that a doctor will give, that 8 hours sleep, 8 hours this, eat at this time. What happens is that there's आजकल के this is becoming more important because even when you see that when you do blood tests and all, they have a clear cut off margin कि अगर ब्लड शुगर आपका 110 के ऊपर है तो आप डायबिटिक हो गए. तो ये these are in my opinion every body is unique. हमारे फिंगरप्रिंट्स भी यूनिक होते हैं हर एक के. कोई 2 इंसान साथ एक जैसे नहीं होते. तो हर एक के बॉडी का इंटेलिजेंस जिसका मैंने जिक्र किया था आई टॉक, तो द बॉडी नोज व्हाट इट वांट्स बेस्ट फॉर दैट पर्सन.
ओके.
तो अगर आपको 6 घंटा नींद से आपका लाइफ अच्छा जा रहा है, यू हैविंग नो प्रॉब्लम्स, यू आर एबल टू फोकस ऑन योर वर्क, 6 hours वर्क्स फॉर यू, दैट्स गुड. देयर इज नो प्रिस्क्रिप्शन कि आप 8 घंटा मतलब 8 घंटा सोना ही चाहिए, ऐसे कोई जरूरी नहीं है. दैट्स मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट. सो ईच बॉडी कैन डिसाइड व्हाट इज द बेस्ट फॉर इटसेल्फ, व्हाट रूटीन सूट्स फॉर इटसेल्फ. बट आई थिंक दैट देयर इज ऑल्सो वन मोर थिंग विच इज कॉल्ड एज अ बायोलॉजिकल क्लॉक. तो जैसे हमारा क्लॉक होता है वैसे बायोलॉजिकल क्लॉक होता है. तो अगर आप डिसिप्लिन के इंपॉर्टेंस क्यों होता है, अगर आप समझ लो कि आप 6 बजे उठने की आपको बॉडी को आदत डाल दें हर रोज की, और आप 10 बजे सोने की आदत डालें, और 8 बजे का ब्रेकफास्ट का फिक्स टाइम है, 1 बजे का लंच का फिक्स टाइम है आपका, और रात को 9 बजे डिनर का टाइम है. तो अगर ये टाइम फिक्स हो गया तो ऐसा एक बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट ऑब्जर्वेशन ये हुआ है कि बॉडी को जब मालूम पड़ता है कि समझ अगर सालों साल मैंने अगर रात को 9 बजे खाना खाने का डिसिप्लिन रखा, तो 8 बजे से ही मेरा बॉडी स्टार्ट्स प्रिपेयरिंग फॉर द मील दैट इज गोइंग टू कम एट 9 o'clock.
भूख लगने
ऑटोमेटिकली, नॉट ओनली दैट, गैस्ट्रिक जूसेस वो डाइजेशन करने के लिए जो भी रखता है वो ऑटोमेटिकली सीक्रेट होने लगता है. तो दैट इज द बायोलॉजिकल क्लॉक. दैट मीन द बॉडी हैज अ फैंटास्टिक बायोलॉजिकल क्लॉक इन इट. सो यू हैव टू रिस्पेक्ट दैट. इफ इट्स अ गुड आइडिया टू हैव अ डिसिप्लिन्ड लाइफ. इट्स आपने जो ऋषि मुनि का मेंशन किया है, तो ऋषि लोग वो जो थे वो बहुत डिसिप्लिन लोग रहते थे. उनकी लाइफ में हर चीज़ की नपी तुली जिंदगी रहती थी. मतलब किसी तरह का कोई जाति नहीं थी, किसी तरह का कोई इंडल्जेंस नहीं था. तो मेरे हिसाब से दैट मस्ट बी हैविंग एन इम्पैक्ट ऑन देयर एबिलिटी टू फोकस, their ability to concentrate, their ability to reach higher states of consciousness, like transcendental states जिनको बोलते हैं. So that has a definite role to play.
Okay. And stress, how it affects?
So modern day life involves a lot of stress in workplace and competition and careers and stuff. So there is a definite entity that is called as psycho-neurohumoral axis in the body. Psycho is to deal with the mind. Neuro is the brain and the neural networks, and humoral is the hormones that are released by the body in response to these different aspects. So there are certain hormones which are called as the stress hormones, which like adrenaline or adrenaline, which are secreted by the body by the suprarenal gland. So whenever there is stress, like you might have heard of this fight and fright response. Fight, fright and flight. So when there's a situation which puts you in a very stress, to give an example, आप अगर जंगल में हमारे कोई पूर्वज जा रहे हैं और सामने शेर देखा, तो 3 होती थी. एक तो फ्राइट मतलब बहुत डर जाता था, फ्लाइट मतलब भागता था, भागने का एक ऑप्शन है, और तीसरा तो फाइट मतलब उसको मारना, उससे जूझना. तो ये तीनों चीजें के लिए वो एड्रेनलिन हार्मोन जो होता है वो उसको रिस्पॉन्सिबल होता है.
ओके.
तो अगर आपको स्ट्रेस बढ़ने लगा तो आपके हर टाइप ये हार्मोन रिलीज हो गया कि आप हर चीज में अगर आप यही रिस्पॉन्स आने लगा, फाइट, फ्राइट और फ्लाइट रिस्पॉन्स, तो एक उसका नेचुरली बॉडी स्टार्ट्स प्रोड्यूसिंग मोर ऑफ दैट, एंड देन दैट कॉजेज द ब्लड प्रेशर टू रिमेन हाई, हार्ट रेट गोज अप. सो दैट इज द इफेक्ट ऑफ दिस स्ट्रेस. So if you can perhaps that is where the role of spirituality comes. Okay? If you just believe one thing, that you are not the doer and you are just an observer of what's happening, and you don't react to every single thing. I love one sentence. It's called humans are not chemicals. Chemicals react. Humans respond. So when I respond, nice. I am using my brains, and I can say that okay, I am facing a situation. It's a problem. I have to deal with it. I don't need to react. अभी वो कोई मैं अभी बैठा हूँ यार, सामने से कोई आदमी मुझे कुछ गाली देके भाग गया, तो मैं अगर मेरा दिमाग है जिसको हम सत्सद विवेक बुद्धि बोलते हैं, वो बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट रहती है कि जो आपको बताता है कि यार इग्नोर दैट, वो डोंट गेट प्रोवोक्ड, डोंट रिएक्ट, रिस्पॉन्ड. रिस्पॉन्स विल टेल मी कि ज़्यादा बेवकूफ़ आदमी है, वो अपने रास्ते निकल जाएगा, मैं मेरा काम करते रहूँगा. तो ये जो चीज़ है, दैट इज़ व्हाट आई थिंक इज़ इम्पॉर्टेंट फॉर अस टू लर्न इन द प्रोसेस टू बी एबल टू डील विद स्ट्रेस, बिकॉज लाइफ इज you are going to be faced with situations where there is going to be stress. It's inevitable. How you handle stress? My wife is a very senior corporate in the corporate world. She's a almost like the she's working in a multinational corporation at a very high level. She's a general counsel level, means who's looking after the legal aspect of that big company.
Okay.
So I have seen the kind of work that these people do. You know, we only see the kind of salaries that they get, these head honkos or these corporate leaders. But one important aspect which I've noticed about them is that they are paid that kind of money because they respond, they don't react. So when they are faced with a situation, when they are faced with a problem, they maintain their calm. They think of what is the long term, what is best for the long term, for the organization, for the staff, for the HR, for the people, and then they will take a very balanced decision without reacting. So that I think is the hallmark of optimal functioning of the brain, where you don't react, you don't get stressed, you keep your calm, and absolutely be focused on what you have to do. So there are methods to deal with stress, and I think stress management remains one of the very big challenges that are there in present day times, and that's why then there's this whole gamut of options that people are doing yoga, people are doing meditation, people are doing namasmaran, simran karte, all these are efforts by the part of the body. But I think it can be a conscious effort to eliminate stress if you can reprogram how you think. And I believe that the greatest hallmark of the brain is that you are blessed with a very high level of intelligence that can adapt. So if I can teach myself, I can learn, and I can find my own solutions to my problems. That is the hallmark of a human brain, that it can find solutions to its own problems, and it can learn, constantly keep learning, evolving.
Okay. So if we are talking about the daily life, so what are the warning signs people should take care of for the brain health and all? कुछ सिम्टम, कुछ डेली लाइफ में कुछ ऐसे उनको सिम्टम्स दिखे कि दे हैव टू टेक केयर ऑफ देम, सो ऐसा मतलब आपको आपके एक्सपीरियंस के हिसाब से क्या हो सकते हैं वो?
See, there are things like if you have symptoms like if you have very severe headaches, persistent headaches, or if you are having fainting attacks, feeling weakness in one part of the body, or having tingling numbness, or severe giddiness, or because the brain can, the number of problems or the disorders that the brain and the nervous system can have are very vast.
Yeah.
So you cannot really narrow down to 5 or 6 things. But the common things which people are nowadays most worried about is things like dementia, Alzheimer's, where there are major problems of memory, and people, that's called as senile dementia. That means, or pre-senile dementia. That means people lose their memory, people their behavior is different, they get dementia. तो वो जो चीज़ें हैं उसके लिए having a good diet, उसके symptoms होते हैं that you start forgetting things, you start but those are observed more by the relatives than the patient himself. But that is I'm talking about in the somewhere around the 5th or 6th decade, मतलब 50-60 उम्र के बाद. उसके पहले के अगर कोई जो आप मैंने जो जैसे लक्षण बताया आपको कि कोई ज़्यादा सर दर्द बहुत ज़्यादा हो रहा है, कोई वॉमिटिंग हो रहा है, या फिर कोई एक बॉडी के एक हिस्से में कमजोरी लग रही है, फिर कोई ज़्यादा झंझनाहट हो रही है इन वन हाफ ऑफ द बॉडी, डबल दिख रहा है आँखों से, या फिर ऐसे कोई सिम्टम्स रहेंगे तो इट्स बेटर टू गेट चेक बाय डॉक्टर.
So I think there are a lot of problems related to the brain, sir. But I came across 4 common problems that are headache, migraine, Alzheimer, stroke, and tumor. So can you explain one by one what are these, and after that we can talk in detail what they are.
See, Alzheimer's, as I mentioned, is called as pre-senile dementia. That means normally when the person is around 75, 80, 85. That is senile, means a person becomes old. Senile मतलब बूढ़ा होना. और डिमेंशिया तो हम आमतौर पे देखते हैं कि 80 साल 85 साल के उम्र में लोग थोड़ा उनकी बिहेवियर बदल जाता है, वो थोड़े भूल जाते हैं चीज़ें, वो थोड़े चिड़चिड़े हो जाते हैं, उनके बिहेवियर में फ़र्क हो जाता है, तो वो senile डिमेंशिया होता है. पर प्री सेनाइल मतलब अगर ये बिहेवियर, उनका मेमोरी लॉस और उनका जो बर्ताव करने का तरीका रहता है वो अगर एक्सपेक्टेशन से ज़्यादा बदल रहा है एट अर्लियर एज लाइक 55, 60, 65, so that is called a pre-senile dementia. Means it is not age-related; it is coming earlier. So that is called as Alzheimer's. Alzheimer's, they have found out that there is a deposition of amyloid. It's starch, starch-like substance in the brain.
Okay.
Now, why it happens, it's not known. Perhaps one of the things, possibility could be that it could be because of viral infection, or it could be some other cause. But I have came across one very interesting quote which said that if you want to avoid Alzheimer's from hitting your brain, the only way you can do it is to use it. So that's why there's a increased interest in people to learn some new language or learn some new instrument, because you see the brain has got a phenomenal capacity. It's incredible.
Yeah.
So if I feel that if you use it and you keep it's like maintenance of any machine. So if you keep on using it and if you're challenging it every time, the brain will always support you. I feel that the more you challenge the brain, the better it becomes. But if you stop challenging the brain, if you get into a routine, or if you just are kind of not subjecting it to any new, learning something new, then I guess that could be one of the reasons why people might be getting into that zone. It's unknown. But exact cause, like I said, of Alzheimer's is not really known, very clear still. It's not known. There are, like I said, for the persons who are interested in learning, knowing, or who are seeing this podcast for them, I would suggest that it's always good to do multiple things. Like at the age of 55, I learned to play the saxophone. I play the saxophone. I do give public performances with the saxophone. I play the guitar. I write. I go for treks. I've done about 14 high altitude treks in the Himalayas. I go swimming. I have a farmhouse. I go in nature. I love travel. So if your brain is exposed to multiple activities, I think that's one of the best ways to make sure that it is in optimal condition.
Yeah.
Second part, you're saying about tumors. Tumors, like I told you, the symptoms, that if they
let's complete first Alzheimer's. So how if a patient come to you, so how it can be treated?
It's more of a rehabilitation kind of a thing. There's no medicine as such, Really, there's no medicine. So it's unfortunate that there's no cure as such for it. That's why people are scared of it, ना? क्योंकि एक बार हो गया तो उसको कोई इलाज तो नहीं है कि या भाई ये दवाई ले लो और वो ठीक हो जाओगे.
Okay.
So unfortunately, then perhaps it's just more about being supportive, having a good social backup for these people, and taking care. That's it. You really can't treat it as such.
Okay.
Coming to tumors, I mentioned those symptoms which I told you: headaches, or one part of the body having weakness, or having double vision, or fainting attacks, or convulsions, fits वगैरह ऐसे कुछ आ जाए तो then it could be indicative of it.
So what exactly is tumor?
Tumors are
is it a cancer?
There are multiple types of tumors. Tumor means new growth. New growth. So something that is not a part of the brain, but it is now a new growth is happening in the brain. So it can be arising from outside the brain, like the meninges are coverings on the brain. So commonest non-malignant tumors are meningiomas, which arises from the meninges, and they grow inwards and they press on the brain.
Okay.
So then the gliomas, which are arising from the brain itself. So there are different types of tumors.
Okay.
Some are cancerous, some are non-cancerous. So it is there's that also why exactly people have tumors. There is no answer to that. We have no clue. So treatment, of course, lies in that's where we come in, that we operate, and those which are not cancerous can be removed completely and the patient can be cured. Those which are cancerous, sometimes if they are very early low-grade tumors, you can do be aggressively. They have a good life expectancy. But sometimes they are very advanced, grade 4 astrocytomas, they are called as grade 4. So the grade 4 tumors, if they are detected, the patients don't survive very long, even if you do whatever surgery or whatever treatment is given.
So these surgeries impact the brain?
No, that's the skill of the surgeon. And where you have to make sure that, like in our medicine, they say do no harm. So whenever I operate on the brain, my first objective is that I don't do any harm to the patient. So then the skill...
Only that part is...
Yeah, you have to be very careful, gentle, and make sure that you're not damaging any adjacent part of the brain.
Okay.
So that is where the skill lies.
So what are strokes?
Strokes are when there are two types of strokes. One is the embolic stroke, and one is a hypertensive or a hemorrhagic stroke. Whenever suppose a patient has high blood pressure and if it shoots beyond like very high 190 200, then there are certain arteries in the brain which are susceptible to rupture because of the high blood pressure. So that is called a hemorrhagic stroke. तो brain के अंदर actually bleeding होता है.
Okay.
And commonest is seen in the region of the internal capsule. So that's why in the center of the brain there are some arteries called lenticulostriate arteries and all which are susceptible to rupture. So when the bleeding happens there, the patient becomes paralyzed on one side, and so that is a hemorrhagic stroke. All of them don't need to undergo surgery. If the clot is very big, then sometimes you have to operate and remove that clot. But others, if it's a small bleed, then you just treat it without surgery. That is one type. Embolic stroke is when some artery which is supplying the brain, if it suddenly gets blocked by some thrombus or a clot, then the part of the brain which it is supplying, it gets shut off, no blood supply. And the brain cannot tolerate lack of oxygen for more than 4 to 5 minutes. So if the artery gets choked and blocked, then that part of the brain which it is supplying blood to, that part will not get blood and it will die. That's called as an infarct. So that infarcted brain, it does not work at all. So then that, and once there is a stroke or once the part of the brain is infarcted or damaged, it cannot regrow. That's one big curse of the brain, that it cannot regrow. मेरी स्किन को अगर जख्म हो जाए तो स्किन सेल्स मल्टीप्लाई करके जख्म भर जाते हैं. न्यूरॉन्स कैनॉट रिप्रोड्यूस. जितने आपको जन्म से है उतने ही रहेंगे आप ब्रेन में. तो अगर वो काम चलना उनका बंद हो गया और या किसी वजह से दे आर डेड, दे कैनॉट ग्रो अगेन.
ऐसा क्या सर? इज इट कि जितने जन्म से हैं कि उतने ही रहेंगे?
हाँ, ऑफ कोर्स.
तो ब्रेन की ग्रोथ कैसे होती है?
ब्रेन की तो ग्रोथ, इट इज फॉर्मेशन ऑफ, देयर इज अ प्रोसेस कॉल्ड एज माइलिनेशन. सो जहाँ पर मैंने आपको बताया कि जो एक्सॉन्स होते हैं उनके ऊपर, इसलिए जब न्यूबॉर्न बच्चा होता है वो खड़ा नहीं रह सकता है अपना कुछ ही इज टोटली वल्नरेबल. एज अगेंस्ट यू सी हिरन का बच्चा पैदा होते ही दौड़ने लगता है इंडिपेंडेंटली. तो ये ह्यूमन स्पीशीज का अजीब ये है कि अगर पूरा डेवलपमेंट हो जाए बच्चा को इंडिपेंडेंटली जिंदगी काटना एट बर्थ, तो उसको पूरा डेवलप होने में 2 साल लगेंगे. इतनी देर तो माँ की पेट में नहीं रह सकता है वो. तो उसका काफ़ी जो आगे की ब्रेन की डेवलपमेंट जो होती है, इट इज़ नॉट इंक्रीजिंग इन द न्यूरॉन्स, इन द नंबर ऑफ न्यूरॉन्स, इट इज़ इन द प्रोसेस ऑफ माइलिनेशन. तो माइलिनेशन इज लाइक अ शीथ. वो जो अपनी केबल, अपनी वायर जो दिखती है, अंदर कॉपर होता है, ऊपर प्लास्टिक होता है. तो वैसे ही नर्व्स, कुछ जो इम्पोर्टेंट नर्व्स है उनको वो एक किस्म का माइलिन शीथ होता है. उसको वो शीथ आने के बाद उसका काम स्पीड अप बढ़ता है काम करने का. तो वो माइलिनेशन का प्रोसेस हैपेंस बाय द एंड ऑफ फर्स्ट या सेकंड.
न्यूरॉन्स उतने ही रहते हैं, उनमें कुछ डेवलपमेंट. ओके. And sir, the last one is that migraine. What is it?
Migraine is for some unknown reason the arteries which are supplying the brain, they suddenly get dilated. For no, there can be some stimulating factor like most of the patients with migraine they say कि अगर मैंने ये किया, कुछ suppose मैंने कुछ ज़्यादा चॉकलेट खाया तो उससे तकलीफ होता है. For some reason the arteries dilate and then it causes very severe headaches. Okay. So the treatment lies in giving drugs which will prevent that dilatation of the arteries which are supplying the brain. So they are called as the ergotabines and all. There's some medicines which prevent this dilatation of the arteries in the brain. So that's what the treatment of migraine is. But largely it is preventive. Means if you find out what are the factors which trigger migraine and you avoid those, then it is more preventive. Because sometimes severe migraine, it is very bad. The person has to probably just lie down and wait for 6-7 hours for an attack to go off. So in extreme forms.
So is there any connection between stress and migraine?
Not really.
Or I think there are some people who overthinks, and is there any relation and all?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. See, it's very hard to, um, for in our medical profession, no, the unfortunate part of our medical profession is it's a science.
Yeah.
Okay. The science का function क्या है कि it tells you the cause and effect.
Yeah.
मतलब हर चीज का कोई cause होएगा, वजह होती है, और वो वजह का effect होता है. तो cause and effect का ये relationship establish करना ये science का fundamental है. तो although our branch is science, every effect we can't find the cause. Like आपने अगर मुझे पूछा कि कैंसर क्यों होता है, I can't tell you. इफेक्ट मालूम है कि ये कैंसर हो गया है, पर कॉज क्या है ये पता नहीं चलता है. सो द सैड पार्ट ऑफ मेडिसिन इज दैट द प्लेसेस वेयर यू कैन कनेक्ट द कॉज एंड इफेक्ट यू कैन फाइंड अ सॉल्यूशन, curative, but where you cannot find a direct, like you were talking about Alzheimer's, we don't know the exact cause. So there are many situations where you don't know the exact cause, but then that's the curse of medicine, you can say. You have to accept it.
So is there any daily practices which helps to improve migraine without medicines?
I guess, like I told you, avoiding the factors which are known to trigger the attack of migraine, then making sure that you sleep adequately, get rest.
Is there any test to figure out that?
No, there's no test. There's no test. Migraine and all these are clinical diagnoses. You can't have any angiography or anything that will say that okay, this is positive, so you got migraine. There are certain diseases or disorders which are clinical diagnosis. There's no test to prove it.
Okay. So what's the weirdest thing that happened during the surgery? आपको तो experience है.
I would say weirdest, but the scariest thing is when I'm clipping an aneurysm. The aneurysm is a bubble which comes in the arteries which are supplying the brain. So it's like when there's a tire होता है गाड़ी का, तो टायर अगर फट गया तो ट्यूब अंदर से कैसे बाहर आती है,
हाँ.
तो वो पंक्चर होने का चांस ज़्यादा होता है.
Yeah.
वैसे आर्टरी दिमाग की जो रहती है वहाँ पे, जहाँ पे अक्यूटली बेंड होता है या फिर बाइफर्केशन होता है, वहाँ पर वो आर्टरी थिन हो जाके वहाँ पे ऐसा बबल आ जाता है. तो वो लाइक ब्लड प्रेशर या फिर किसी और वजह से वो फट जाता है, तो ब्रेन में ब्लीडिंग होता है. सो दैट्स कॉल्ड एज subarachnoid hemorrhage बिकॉज ऑफ aneurysm rupture. तो आजकल देयर न्यू मॉडलिटीज वेयर यू कैन ट्रीट दिस aneurysm. उसमें बेसिकली यू हैव टू ब्लॉक दैट aneurysm so that it will not bleed from there. तो उसके दो तरीके रहते हैं. एक तो आप इंटरवेंशनल, मतलब दे पुट अ कैथेटर, reach it to the level where the aneurysm is, and they release a coil, a platinum coil, or then there's a different, there are flow diverters or some other methods where you prevent the blood from entering that aneurysm. That is from the by the catheter which is put from the femoral artery, from the groin. The other one is to do open surgery. So we actually open the skull, go to where the aneurysm is, dissect it, and then you put a clip around the neck so that no blood will enter that aneurysm.
Skull को open कैसे करते हैं?
We make holes, 5 or 6 holes, and then we cut the intervening part and remove a part of the skull.
And then वो वैसे
Put it back.
And वो recovery हो जाता है.
Yeah, that heals. Like a fracture, no?
Okay.
वो heal हो जाता है 6 हफ्ते 2 महीने में. तो ये aneurysm सर्जरी करने के वक्त, अगर डिसेक्ट करने के टाइम बाय चांस वो अगर aneurysm रप्चर हो गया है तो नानी याद आती है, बिकॉज इट ब्लीड, वो पूरा ब्लड फिल हो जाता है. यू कांट, and the patient blood pressure suddenly drops, patient can die on table. It's a very scary thing. तो मैंने अभी तक जो aneurysms किए उसमें ऐसे 4-5 बार हुआ है. It's very scary. उसमें से बाहर निकलना मतलब बहुत you need to be really very very strong in strong willed and keep your head cool and find a solution.
So what is the toughest surgery you have performed in your life?
I think some real bad tumors which I've operated for like maybe 10 hours, 11 hours.
Really?
Yeah, it takes that long. Because you have to, sometimes the tumors, they are arising in a very awkward area where all the arteries and nerves are going stuck to it. So you have to very gently separate everything. It's not like abdominal surgery where you have a lot of space. So it's a very tight space. और वो tight space में आप अंदर जाके, और आप पूरा तो skull नहीं खोल सकते हो. You open a small area. वहाँ से आप अंदर जाओ. तो to give you an example, आपका पास बड़ा आम है, अगर आम के अंदर गुठली होती है वो, तो आपको अगर बोले कि आप सिर्फ 2 इंच आम काटो ऊपर से और अंदर आम को बगैर छेड़े हुए ज़्यादा वो अंदर की गुठली निकालो, कैसे
And you
निकालोगे।
all do this with your hands.
Yeah, you have to do it with the hands and instruments. तो वो and the condition being that you cannot let that mango get damaged. You have to go make a very clean cut, go right to there. Then we have certain instruments by which you can, you know, make that. गुठली तो खैर it's very hard. पर अगर soft रही तो उसको धीरे धीरे suction से अलग फिर वहाँ पे जहाँ पे चिपकी है ब्रेन आम के अंदर वहाँ से उसको छुड़ाना सब जगह से धीरे धीरे उसको एक एक पीस वाइज निकालना तो दैट टेक्स क्वाइट सम टाइम। तो कभी कभी बहुत बड़े मतलब गोल्फ बॉल के इतने बड़े ट्यूमर्स निकलते हैं तो वो तो इट टेक्स अ लॉन्ग टाइम।
So, if we talk about the pain, so how brain process the pain?
The brain, there is what is called as a somatotropic localization in the brain. So that means every part of your body is represented on the brain. There is a sensory homunculus, that means all the sensations go to one particular part of the brain. And so अभी अगर मेरा अंगूठा है राइट हैंड का तो राइट हैंड का अंगूठा का एक उतना representation दिमाग के ब्रेन पे रहता है उतना। तो there are various theories. There is a gate theory of pain which says that अगर कैसे there are the pain nerves जो होते हैं nerves carry that sensation to the spinal cord and from the spinal cord it reaches the brain, that sensation of pain.
Can spinal cord helps in thinking?
No.
It responds.
Yeah, spinal cord job is to give carry the sensation, carry the orders of moving the hands and legs, and also carrying the sensations from the body to the brain. So it is a two-way traffic.
Okay.
Signal going from the brain to the body and signal going from the body to the brain. So they are called as ascending and descending pathways.
Okay.
अपने ब्रेन जो होता है अपना ब्रेन जो होता है उसको भी ट्रिक करने के तरीके होते हैं। उसका एक there is a very famous neurologist called Ramchandran in the US. He has written this book called Phantoms in the Brain. उसमें एक बहुत interesting वाक्य है कि so if the person has an amputation of let's say the hand below the elbow, now the nerve which is carrying the sensation from the fingers and the thumb and those that nerve is intact towards the brain.
Yeah.
So for some reason if there is a irritation of that nerve, there is a neuroma formation. There sometimes that it forms a small swelling over there, and that irritation hua. So then the patient will have an itching sensation or a irritation of the hand which is not there.
Okay.
है नहीं वो हाथ लेकिन वो नर्व तो वहाँ पे दिमाग को सेंसेशन पहुँचा रही है तो उसको फैंटम लिम्ब बोलते हैं। तो फैंटम लिम्ब को ट्रीट कैसे करेंगे आप? बिकॉज वो तो हाथ है ही नहीं, उसको स्क्रैच करने को तो उसको खुजली आ रही है, जो हाथ नहीं है उसको खुजली आ रही है उसको, क्योंकि ब्रेन में तो उसका एरिया है रिप्रेजेंटेशन। तो सॉल्व कैसे करना है उसको? तो इसके लिए दिस डॉक्टर रामचंद्रन इज इन द यूएस, ही इज इन दिस बुक, so he had come out with a very intense solution. उसने क्या किया, जिसको वो फैंटम लिम्ब अभी राइट हैंड में अगर उसको है इचिंग हो रहा है, हाँ राइट हैंड है तो नहीं है उसको, तो उसको यहाँ तक कवर करते हैं एंड उसका लेफ्ट हैंड है वो एक मिरर रखते हैं यहाँ पर, तो मिरर में उसको सिर्फ इतना वो दिखता है, यहाँ तक कवर होता है ये, और सिर्फ यहाँ पे दिखता है उसको इतना एरिया, और उसमें उसको राइट हैंड का उसका रिफ्लेक्शन दिखता है क्योंकि वो मिरर में दिख रहा है। तो राइट हैंड इज अ मिरर इमेज ऑफ द लेफ्ट हैंड, तो वो मिरर इमेज को दिखा के अगर उसको वहाँ पे स्क्रैच किया तो उसको फैंटम लिम्ब का सेंसेशन बंद होता है। So that's how you trick the brain. So it's interesting, a lot of work going on in this, but it's a very interesting book. You can read that sometime. And the brain is absolutely a very, very fascinating organ, and how when nowadays there's a talk of artificial intelligence also, and can the machine be as good as the human brain? And we have these self-driven cars, automobiles and all, which are driverless automobiles and all.
Yeah.
So when it comes to processing data, the processing of data can be done outside the body, because if you look at the brain, one of its main function is to receive data, process it and to give an output. So it's like that ना, मैं आपसे अगर आपने मुझे बात की मेरे से, तो मेरा आपका आवाज़ आ रहा है वो मैं सुन रहा हूँ, आप जो दिख रहे हैं उसको मैं रिएक्ट करूँगा, तो वो डेटा मेरे दिमाग में जा रहा है, डेटा जाने के बाद वो प्रोसेस होता है, और प्रोसेस होने के बाद मैं उसके ऊपर जो भी इफेक्ट करना चाहता हूँ वो करता हूँ। तो As far as the data process, accumulation of data and processing of data is concerned, that can be done by a machine. That's not a big problem. Like for example, Google is there now. You ask any question to it, it has got such a huge database that will give you information. So, processing of information and data is something that can be done by an artificial machine or computer or whatever you might call it. Like when the driverless car, it can detect कोई vehicle आ रहा है सामने, ब्रेक लगाना, लेन नहीं बदलना, वो तो it's data and वो process करके वो it is implementing that. But the human brain has one important aspect of self-awareness कि मैं हूँ. The fact that I am there, my amness, that amness and self-awareness, will that machine have that self-awareness? That machine will not have that self-awareness. So, in other words, I am conscious, okay, but I am conscious of the fact that I am conscious, है ना?
Yeah.
मैं होश में हूँ,
Yeah.
मुझे होश है और मुझे होश है, इसका भी मुझे होश है.
Yeah.
तो ये सेल्फ अवेयरनेस जो है वो मशीन में नहीं हो सकता. तो वो that is how you might differentiate it from artificial intelligence and our human brain का intelligence. And the human brain has something far superior. It can have the concept of abstraction. जैसे मैंने आपको बताया कि artificial intelligence को आप poverty अगर समझाने की कोशिश करोगे तो इसको statistics देगा कि below income group इतना है. Yeah, but poverty as a concept, what is it? तो वो नहीं समझ पाए. That's a concept. It's abstract. So abstraction is something which an artificial intelligence may not be able to be capable of because it's totally abstract. Then the ability to even have emotions.
Yeah, true.
So emotions ka machine will not be capable of emotions.
Yeah, obviously.
You can probably feed into it that it can perhaps you have a program that if these things happen then you can get a smile or something.
If there is some word, you have to
order it can follow.
order,
But of its own, it will not be able to have emotions of its own. So these are multiple aspects of the human brain which no machine can ever match. Speed of computing, computers are way ahead of the human brain. Speed of computing, they're phenomenal. We have no argument on that. But computing is not the only function of the brain. The brain has the ability to think. The brain has the ability to emote. The brain has the ability to be aware of its own self. And that is where spirituality comes, that the ability to know my true nature. हमारा Indian philosophical systems में, if you look at religion is one thing. Religion, we have multiple religions. There are gods and this. But spirituality का अगर बात हो जाए तो spirituality, Indian spirituality का fundamentally है कि मैं कौन हूँ, my true nature, what is my true nature, who am I, इसको हिंदी में कोहम बोलते हैं, मैं कौन हूँ, मेरी असलियत क्या है, मेरा am I the body, am I the mind, am I the intelligence, what am I. So उसकी खोज करने की जो क्षमता है और उसको जानने की जो एक एबिलिटी है वो ह्यूमन ब्रेन को ही हो सकती है because it can find out its true nature. And that finding its own true nature is what we call as self-realization.
Yeah.
So that self-realization is something which only the human brain can be capable of.
So, there are a lot of people suffering from disc problems. What exactly it is and how it can be treated?
The disc, basically, this prolapsed intervertebral disc is a problem unique to man because he walks on two legs. Four-legged animals don't have this problem. Okay. Because the weight of the body is transmitted on the vertebral column. When there is a sudden rise or sudden loading of the vertebral column, typically the disc is made up of two parts: the annulus, which is the outer ring, and a nucleus, which is the soft central part. So when there is an undue pressure on the loading on the vertebral column, the annulus, the outer ring, it tears, and then the inner soft material comes out. So that's called the prolapsed intervertebral disc. And that causes pressure on the nerve which is going by the side, and that's why you get a radicular pain or sciatica or that in the lumbar region.
Yeah.
And in the neck also you can have a pain shooting down the hand. So that's a common problem because of undue loading of the vertebral column wrong posture, and all these conditions are there. And that is a acute disc prolapse, that's called. But there's also what is called as a degenerative spondylitis. So because of continuous usage of the vertebral column and wrong posturing and all, there's degeneration, wear and tear of the vertebral column. So that can also cause pain in the back, and there are joints in the vertebral column where they can frustrate the movement of the vertebral column. So there is a little bit of like the joints in the knee or age-related changes happen. They happen in the spine also. So that is called as degenerative spondylitis. So that also can cause problems.
So how it can be cured?
So depending on how severe the symptoms are, if it's very bad, then we offer the option of surgery where we just remove the pressure on that nerve and the patient walks the same day.
Okay.
So earlier it used to be people had a lot of fear about spine surgery, but now almost all the cases that I operate now in the recent few years, we make the patient walk the same day evening, and he can be discharged on the third or fourth day, and they do very well for these problems.
Okay. Just want to know about your experience. So you also worked in foreign use.
Trained in
Yeah.
US.
So what's the difference between that doing work abroad or doing in
I think
India?
in India we are far better in terms of access to the medical facilities, in terms of expertise, in terms of skills of the doctors. We are much better.
In India.
Because now the technological gap is virtually not there.
Okay.
The surgery that I do here in my place, in my hospital, is as good as what is done elsewhere in the world. In fact, I had gone for a fellowship for 3 months in Switzerland, and I had demonstrated one technique which even those guys don't do. It's a unique surgical approach for dislocation of the first and second cervical. It's called atlantaxial dislocation. So which we go by going from the front, and it's a very beautiful surgery. So I had shown them videos and given them a demonstration of how we do these surgeries. So there's no difference, and I think the best medical care in the world is available in India. In the US and Europe and everywhere, it is very structured. It's very protocol driven.
Yeah.
If you have a back pain and you have to first go to a general practitioner. A general practitioner will give you medicines. He will ask you to come after 1 week. If the pain still remains, then he'll say, okay, I think you need to get an MRI. Then the MRI has to be taken by an appointment. And then if he feels it's required, then he'll refer you to the spine surgeon. Here, the patient can just call up, walk in and go to my clinic and get treatment. So it's very much, people might find it hard to believe, but the healthcare is the best in India. There's no question about it.
Just curious about how is your first surgery and what was
My
that?
first surgery, I remember when I was in KEM Bombay when I was training. My boss had told me that okay, you will do this case. I still remember it was a tuberculoma. Means it's a tumor. It's like a growth of. It's a tubercular caused by tuberculosis in the brain. It's a small. It had formed a tuberculoma. Means it's like a caseating material.
Okay.
There's a small, like you can say the size of a small lemon, that kind of a tuberculoma in the brain.
Okay.
And I had to operate and remove that. That was my first case. After opening the skull, which was done quite routinely, and you open the dura, my biggest question and anxiety was that which is the abnormal tissue and which is the normal brain, because it was looking almost similar. So that is what experience is all about. When the more you operate, the more skilled you get, the more you are able to make better judgment.
Yeah.
And so it's an ongoing process, and my learning will never stop till my last breath, because it's always something new is coming up. It's a fascinating field.
So this is all from my side, sir.
Okay.
Thank you so
My
much
pleasure.
for your time and your kind words, and that's it.
Thank you.
If you want to share anything about your experience and all, you can.
No, actually, I'm working largely in the domain of trying to understand science and spirituality. That's one of my favorite areas. I've studied in a lot of details in quantum physics also. So I had gone to this CERN where they had discovered the Higgs boson. That's called as a God particle.
Yeah.
And I had gone underground in the tunnel because I'm very curious to understand about quantum physics. It's a fascinating domain, and the more you study about it, the more you realize that you don't know much. And the kind of work that is being done in this domain of quantum physics is staggering. So the whole question was to understand matter, because if you see the atom, you've studied
Yeah.
10th standard atom.
Yeah.
So if you look at an atom, there's a nucleus in which there are neutrons and protons.
Yeah.
And then outside there are
Electrons.
So to get an understanding, if you join 5 football fields together and in the center you keep a football, that is the size of the nucleus, and the electrons going in
Like
outside.
players.
So 98% of the atom is empty space.
Yeah.
Nucleus at the center and electron, there's a cloud. It's like you can't really isolate it, it's more like a cloud. So if an atom is what matter is made up of, is 98% empty, then how do you have this hardness to tissue, to matter?
Yeah.
It's made up of atoms.
Yeah.
So how does it have substance? And there's no answer to that. So it's very intriguing. I mean, there's this standard model of physics which is now accepted worldwide, which talks about the universe is made up of matter and energy, mainly. Energy, forces of nature, that is gravity.
Yeah.
So matter, they've said, is made up of what are called as fermions, named after Enrico Fermi. And forces are mediated by bosons. So fermions and bosons are the two main aspects of the universe, seen universe. Fermions give matter and bosons mediate the forces. So if you start analyzing how did the Big Bang occur 14 billion years ago, and who made that, who engineered the Big Bang, what was there before the Big Bang, all these questions, they blow my mind. And I came to realize one thing, that if you even just think of it, that the universe is 14 billion light years in dimension. We have one small planet in a solar system, which is part of a small galaxy, and the universe is filled with billions of galaxies.
Yeah.
So who created it? How did it originate? All these questions, they numb the mind. So that's where spirituality comes in, and I'm happy to say that I feel I'm getting close to that point where, since we're talking about the brain, our scriptures talk about the whole universe being Maya. You heard of it?
Yeah.
It's called as an illusion.
Yeah.
Maya. So, what is Maya? Does it mean that it is not there? I'm touching the table, it is there. So, but it is an illusion. So, I am now of the confirmed opinion that the brain is just a device which, through the mechanisms that are the programs, in computer language is a program, कि अगर मुझे ये नर्व को स्टिमुलेट किया तो मुझे ये दिखेगा, ये कलर दिखेगा, ये आवाज आएगा, ये होएगा, वो प्रोग्राम है एक। और वो प्रोग्राम जो होता है, उस वजह से आई सी द आउटर वर्ल्ड, आई सी यू, आई सी, दैट्स द प्रोग्राम। एंड द ब्रेन, so brain is actually generating that program which makes me see the universe. So it creates this universe, outer universe, which I see. It creates it, and it also creates the conviction that this is the truth. तो दोनों करता है, वो यूनिवर्स जो इल्यूजरी है उसको क्रिएट भी करता है, और यही सच है, इसके बारे में अपने को वो ऐसा पूरा आत्मविश्वास दिलाता है कि यही सच है। एक्चुअली वो है ही नहीं, और वो जो नहीं है वो है, ये इसके बारे में पूरा कन्विक्शन जनरेट करता है अपना ब्रेन। तो इसलिए हमारे स्क्रिप्चर्स में बोला जाता है कि अहम ब्रह्मास्मि, विच इज वो 4 सेंटेंसेस विच आर कॉल्ड ब्रह्म वाक्य बोलते हैं, मतलब अहम ब्रह्मास्मि, तत्वमसि, सर्वम खलुदम ब्रह्म, प्रज्ञान ब्रह्म, दीज आर द 4 उपनिषदिक ट्रुथ्स जो बोलते हैं वो। तो अहम ब्रह्मास्मि मीन्स आई एम द यूनिवर्स, द यूनिवर्स इज विद इन मी, आई एम सीइंग द यूनिवर्स and the universe is a projection on the screen of my consciousness. It's just a projection. And this answer is what appeals to my sensibility, because if you go to sit and look at it that there's some God who's created the universe, it's not feasible. So that's where science and spirituality and quantum physics and everything comes into existence. So I do hope that at some point in time in my life I'll be able to, because the ultimate truth or self-realization is not knowledge, it's not Vedas, it's not Upanishads. These are pointers. The final experience, the final truth is something that has to be experienced. It's not knowledge which can be given to you, or the rishis and munis which were there, they would have given it to us and we would have known what the ultimate truth is. But the ultimate truth is, so that's why they say that science is moving from the domain of experiment to experience. So it is no longer an experiment, science, it's an experience. And the ultimate truth will be an experience. It will not be an experiment by which I can prove that this is the ultimate truth. Okay?
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your time.
Yeah.